This is a quick demo of the Interceptor scan gauge made by Air Force Technology in a 2006-2007 Volkswagen GTI. The gauge is booted up. It's in what we call normal scan mode, and it's got an upper and lower field showing two parameters. The gauge reads its data from the OBD2 port, and it reads both generic and what they call enhanced parameters, which are Volkswagen and Audi specific parameters. It also has two analog inputs, so you can read other sensors that have been added to the car on this gauge alongside the OBD2 parameters for things like oil pressure or sensors that didn't come from the factory. I'm going to go through some of the features that this gauge does. It's a little bit different than our previous applications. We've changed the software, so I'll show you some of the different things that it does. Right now, like I said, it's in normal scan mode. It has two warning lights, and these can be set to monitor any parameter that you want, and they'll go off when that parameter exceeds the threshold value that you've entered. And in this case, I've set the gauge to monitor RPM and to light up when the RPMs exceed 2200. So I'll just give it a little gas here, and you can see it, the lights go off, and I'll try to show it along with the stock tach. And as you can see, the gauge reacts very fast. So in this case, it could be used like a shift light, but you can monitor any parameter that you want. Now I'm going to go into the menu and show you some of the other things this gauge will do. To go into the menu, hit both buttons, and unlike the previous software versions, this comes up one menu item at a time as opposed to a list like you've seen before, may have seen before. I'm going to hit this right button here to scroll through some different things. Cyclic Scan, I'm going to choose that by hitting both buttons. And now it's going to ask me to select parameters. Anything underlined has been selected, and you select by toggling to the parameter, hitting both buttons, which will add the underline, and then going to the next parameter that you want to see in Cyclic Scan. Which how this works is it automatically scrolls through up to 8 parameters automatically, 2 at a time or 1 at a time, and without you having to touch any buttons. So I'm going to be satisfied with what's been selected. So I'm going to press and hold until I see this menu closing. Now it asks if I want to run this Cyclic Scan. I'm going to press and hold to select it, and this rate. Well, okay, now it says bottom only. You can run this so that only the bottom field changes parameters. The top will stay static. So if there's something very important that you don't want to switch out, you can put that. You can select this mode. The value will stay on the top, and only the bottom ones will move, will change. I'm going to select that by hitting both buttons. And now the order chosen. This allows you to view the parameters in the order that you've selected them, or you can say no, and it will display them in the order they're found on the list, regardless of when you selected them. And finally, it says rate 20. This means 20 scans, and it changes parameter to the next one. You can say no here and enter your own rate and slow it down so that each parameter stays up longer or shorter than the 20 scans, which is about 5 seconds or less. Well, I'm going to say keep 20 is fine. And now it's going to go into Cyclic Scan. And what you'll see is the bottom parameter is changing while the top stays static because I chose bottom only. And the warning lights still work. Okay, now I'm going to get out of Cyclic Scan by hitting this button. The left button will close it, it'll come back in normal scan mode. And now we're going to go back into the menu, and I will show you another graph. This will show you a real-time scrolling graph of the two parameters that were displayed. And we've got RPM shown here and boost. Try to get this in focus. RPM is on the left and boost on the right, and you'll see the scales. The boost value is going to be logged as a single line. Because I'm not really moving, there's no load on the motor, you're not going to really see a boost graph right now, but you can see the RPM moving. And it just gives you a real-time depiction of these two values. Now if I hit the this right button, I'm going to end up going into what's called multi-screen mode. This shows all the parameters that I've selected in Cyclic Scan, but all at one time. So it's like a summary screen of up to 8 parameters, which if you're looking at want to see a lot of things at once, it's a good option. I'm going to go back to graph by hitting the right button. And we're back in graph again. Now you get out of this, back to standard scan mode, hit the left button. And it's going to come back into regular scan mode. Okay, now let's go on another menu item. Okay, there's Cyclic, Graph, Record. It allows you to record data. Whatever is being displayed will record for about a minute, and you can play it back. That way you don't have to watch the gauge if you're doing a quarter-mile run or something and you want to view something, but you can't keep your eyes on the gauge. You can record and look at it later. Okay, dimmers allows you to change the brightness. Invert screen, I can make it a white background with black numbers. DTCs, I can check trouble codes and clear them. Performance timer, 0 to 60, 1/8, quarter mile, and 60 to 130 miles per hour timer. Annunciator, this is how I would stop the annunciator, and then be able to select set it up for a different parameter. And in the annunciator, you can set up to 2 parameters. You're not limited to just one. And you can use an AND or an OR statement. And the AND would be to monitor 2 things, and both have to exceed the threshold for the lights to come on. And a good example would be air-fuel ratio. If you want to see if you're running lean at wide open throttle, you can set the air-fuel limit to like 12.0 or 13.0 and set throttle position to maybe 80%. That way the light's not on all the time when air-fuel ratio is above 12 and annoying you, but it only becomes active when throttle position is high and the air-fuel ratio goes high, which would be under a heavy load. Okay, now analogs, this is how you set the analog inputs up. You enter a conversion, you set each one up separately, each analog input, enter a conversion, and then you can name that input, so something meaningful like oil pressure or whatever. Logos, these are power-up logos you can choose from. You saw the Volkswagen logo when this powered up. Boost is a unique display that shows the boost. It's all it shows is boost with a bar graph on the bottom. We'll get out of this. Go back into the menu and start where we left off. I want to show you a few more things. Cyclic rate is another way of changing the amount of time that each screen is up in the cyclic scan mode. And this is an Annunciator Graph. This allows you to view in a graphic mode the parameter that you're chosen for the Annunciator. And if you've chosen 2, you'll see 2 graphs. And the top of the scale is your entered value. In our case, it's 2200 RPM. And you can see that on the top. So anything greater than 2200, you'll see the lights go on, and you've hit 100% of your range that you're monitoring. So it's kind of a cool way to view your important parameter that you're looking at with the Annunciator. Now I'll get out of this. Back to normal scan mode. That's about all I wanted to show you on this for this general overview. There'll be other videos showing specifically how to set up the Annunciator, how to specifically set up the analog inputs. Might be easier to see it on a video than the instructions. So thanks for watching.